You spent the first 10 minutes not sure what to do, and you'd like some help. Okay, SurfaceFish is in the Implacable. There's 3 DDs, Lightning, Z, and an Akazuki. 3 DDs is kind of at the level where you kind of want to interact with the destroyers if you can. You want to try to unbalance it. If there's 2 or just 1, there's really other things you're gonna be focused on. But when it starts to get into 3 or 4, you do need to dedicate some of your time trying to work on this to either, you know, find them or strike them or do something so that your team can have an advantage in the front line. Other than that, we've got Eugen, which I think has a heal, Albemarle, which has a heal, Kutuzov does not, so you could strike the Kutuzov. You could probably rocket that. And well, can somebody check if the Kansas has a 32 mil deck? Because I thought it did, but then I thought it didn't, and I don't remember which it does. If it has a 32 mil deck, you could bomb the Kansas. Alright, so you're starting off with rocket planes. Rocket planes kind of suck for scouting because they're just so damn slow. The fact that they're really slow is actually useful. Okay. I don't like this line. Unless you're turning away from the Albemarle. So first off, when you're coming across and you start spotting battleships, you are on the edge of the cruisers you don't see, lighting up and starting to rock you with AA. So it is 32. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. That's good to know. So once you see this, if you turn in, you're going to start getting struck by cruiser AA, and if you stay turned in, it's a one-way trip. So if you're committing, that's okay. You're going to get a little damage because you're going to shoot something, but you have to ask yourself, is the damage important? Is shooting an Albemarle for 5k going to change the match, as opposed to finding a DD or 2 DDs or spotting this flank to let these guys know what positions they need to take? 4 or 5k damage is going to matter less than giving information. For me, I think your path was something like this, but instead of doing that, you turned in. You could have either hard committed over here and then gone for the long way, or you could have just committed to the mid, cut off to a flank, and then committed to a strike. If you're going to do that, you would drop a fighter in the mid to try to watch both flanks if they can, and then come over to spot and hit. But these rocket planes are very slow, so you did not take the strike, which is good. Don't be afraid to use the engine boost to get the fuck out of the AA, and that's alright. I think you have to interact with him. I think you have to strike him. So I spent all this time, you know, strike here, no information, what the fuck? Because there are 3 destroyers, if you're able to get some kind of something in to one of these 3 that you can unbalance the situation or make them play scared, that's when you start to be able to hold your front line. If you don't do that, then your front line can get overwhelmed, and it gets really fucked up as torps are coming in all sorts of angles and people are ganging up in different ways. So taking the time, if there's 3 or 4 DDs, to just say fuck it, swing, and go after them, I would agree with that. So it's good to see that that's what you're doing. Plus, you've got some friendly fire coming in. Good hit, 4k. Don't be afraid to use the engine boost. Engine boost consumable could have helped you here. I think this is an overfly. Yeah, so if you had used the engine boost, you would have been able to slam on the brakes and line up the shot better. I don't know if you're aware, but you're reversing. There's no reason to reverse at this time. British CVs do have armored decks, so if one of these battleships took a long-range pot shot at you, it would probably ricochet. Although now you're turning? I'm not sure what's happening with your CV. Okay, so you're sticking on the lightning to try to root him out. Yeah, the line was a little rushed. And the mines probably has him on hydro. Okay. Cool. So at this point you have 2 planes, and outside of being able to spot something or drop a fighter, they're really not going to do anything. So the question is, where can you go? What can you do? Because you were saying, you know, what should my target priority be? This worked. It's a good and a bad thing that the lightning is dead. It's good that there's no lightning. It's good that you're going to take Bravo. It's bad that you now have 4 teammates that are going to flood into this middle section where they eat crossfire and die. So ideally, the mains gets out, the Turpitz doesn't commit here, the North Cal doesn't commit here. And, you know, once this shit's taken, they all bail. They don't stay in this death trap. What's looking more likely is that they're going to want to swing up on this stuff. I don't know exactly which one you'd work on. You'd probably work on this. Although there's 3 of them together, which is not great. Yeah, don't waste your time bombing the Bismarck here. Bombing the Bismarck, these guys aren't in position to take. They aren't in a setup to do anything. What these guys here are looking basically to do, unless the Cossack is actually pushing in to take the cap, all they're going to do is staring contest where they shoot at each other. The cap doesn't change, it doesn't affect the points, nothing useful happens. These guys have island cover, these guys don't. So theoretically, they take more damage. All these folks should do is be ready to turn out and just brace and hold the line, while this is the place where it has to be broken so that your team can now take Bravo and Alpha and move over to contain the enemy team. You could bomb the Kaga if you wanted to, that might scare him. So you're gonna bomb the Bismarck, you're gonna lose a plane coming in, and maybe you get a fire or something, but there's nothing that's gonna happen off that, because you only had the 2 planes, you didn't have enough armor to do something. So when you're in a situation like that, it's worth recalling, just because you're gonna have enough planes to be able to do something. Alright, secondly, this is a really long flight. This is 13 kilometers, this is probably 26. So you have a 26 kilometer flight to either flank. You could move up, which does get really scary. If you get lit, you start taking crossfire, and that's going to be a bitch. I don't like posting up on this island. I think it's a little too hard. This actually looks pretty rough because it's 4v5. I don't know. This is tough, but either way, you're going to have to commit to a flank, and I don't. Maybe this is the flank to commit to, just because they're so spread out and because you have more resources here. But either way, you're going to want to commit with your CV to a flank. Don't farm the Kansas. So this Kansas isn't doing anything. The Kansas isn't killing the shit at B. The Kansas isn't killing shit at C. The Kansas isn't killing anything at A, although maybe he has a shot at the Bismarck. He can't shoot this stuff. He's not going to be shooting at the kid. You have to deal with the stuff that's dealing with your team. So you've got to prioritize the things that are stopping you from winning. And at that point, that's going to be the stuff at A or the stuff at C. While this guy is out in the middle of nowhere and you can farm him, if you strike this guy 2 times, you know, you've done 16,000 damage. You strike him a 3rd time, maybe you've done a little more. But who follows up? Who's able to shoot this guy? Maybe the North Cal can get some shots in. He doesn't die. He just limps away and heals for a while. Well, when you're doing that, you're going to be losing planes. So right now, you have 11 rocket planes. You have 11 bombs. So you could come in and try to work on the Z. You could try to harass the Littorio with your torpedo planes, because the Z-23's AA is going to be shit. So, I mean, you can come in and start working on this while these guys are continuing to run. Your Bismarck probably goes down because he's broadside to all of them, so he's probably just going to be dead. But if you can trade this battleship for that battleship, at least it stays stagnant, right? Because then it's a destroyer and 2 cruisers, a destroyer and 2 cruisers, so it's still even.
Attention, reporting the target position.
Okay, so, well, looks like you're trying to help the CAG, which is good. Maybe you can find the Z-23. Their Littorio is pretty hurt. Z is in smoke. You could drop a fighter on the smoke. There's just too much stuff over here. Akazuki kills your Cossack soon. Oh, it sucks you recalled the Z. I mean, you could have dropped a fighter or something. Worst case, you could have gone over to strike maybe the Eugen, I guess. I think at this point you're just not sure what to use. Taking torps out. Okay. so the Z's pretty YOLO. Maybe these guys kill the Z, in which case you're trying to blunt the push from the Bismarck. Bismarck is isolated. You'll be able to at least slow him down. Kansas is still off in nowhere's land derping around. I can see this. Although he's really close to the island, so that's awkward. It's probably 2. Spin around, come back in. Don't forget that you have a heal. It's going to be more, which is good. And one more is probably going down. You did blow your heal. This is probably the kill shot. Cool. Yep. So, Littorio at this point. Why the Littorio? Because you have 2 cruisers that are now stuck. Oh, that's a Richelieu. It's not a cruiser. They lose a cruiser? I thought it was 2 cruisers, not one in a Richelieu. But still, if this guy's gonna YOLO, your Tallinn is under threat. I don't know if he can bounce all that shit, so... This right now is the YOLO thing. This is what the Bismarck was just now. You want to go on this. Double Kansas on top of each other is going to be too much of a bitch to deal with. The Littorio is the next thing. See? So... You have 3 guys. One of them just went down. Bismarck just went down. I think the Littorio killed it. This is set up for success, but this is the thing on the map where something is happening. Short of dropping this fighter to let the Kagero know that you're coming in. If you hit this Kansas, you might strike him for 7 or 8k, but again, who follows up? Okay, you have a North Cal that might follow up. You have a Hipper that might follow up, but it's not going to stop him moving in. Kag just has to bail. You need to clean this so that you have 3 more people helping to defend Bravo. Don't go back in on that. You lose 1, you lose the second. Yeah. Okay, Littorio is down. I mean, it's 3v1. You probably weren't needed over there, but still, that's the thing to be looking at until that thing is handled. And this will be a kill on the Kansas, because now everybody is looking at this dude.
Enemy battleship foundered.
Okay, so now this Kansas is isolated and becomes the new focus target.
Our victory is in sight.
Okay. Kutuzov has cap pressure. Yeah, I think you have to. Looks like the Hipper is actually going to be getting resets, which is good, but nice to double down on it.
Our victory is in sight.
And you get a respawn on the Bismarck, which is useful. Double fire, cool. Kutuzov's in smoke. For all intents and purposes, he's done. It's either going to be Kansas or the Bismarck. In this case, I think the Kansas with a kid there, a Kag there. Kansas is going down. It looks like that's pretty consistent, although the Richelieu is low. This is a tough choice. It might be the Kansas. You might end up just flying out there to find that he's dead. But if he's not dead, you might save 1 salvo from the Kansas, which might kill the Richelieu. It's tough. Well, the Kansas just killed the Richelieu. So now it's down to 2 destroyers and a Hipper. They're going to be trying to farm down a Kansas. Not to say they can't do it. Looks like they're... Yeah. Okay, they finished that off. Cool. I don't think that hits. So ideally you stick on the Kutuzov. The Kutuzov is the thing that dies. The Bismarck is not. Cool. Plus the Kutuzov being a cruiser is going to be more of a threat to your destroyers. And that's kind of the bulk of what you have. Good drop. Okay, coming back in. Oh, that's probably a kill. Nice. And back out with the torps. So Kid is pressuring the cap. You guys have a point lead, a ship lead. Pretty soon you're gonna have a cap lead. I think you wanted to lead just a little bit more there. But both of those into the rear, which was pretty tasty. I guess I just aim more center mass in general. That's the flood, and odds are he's done. So this is a solid game. I don't really think there was any point where I was stuck wondering. It didn't. How do I put this? It didn't feel like there was a point where you were just, I just don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. It didn't feel like that. It did feel like there were multiple options that might be pulling you in multiple directions, but it didn't feel like you were in a situation where you were just like stuck.